Greetings from Fr Isidore Clarke. Today I'm going to reflect on the Gospel for the fourth Sunday of Lent. Can you love someone who terrifies you into submission? Does fear of his dire punishment make you obey his will? Is our obedience driven by fear of being caught out and punished? Certainly we could be scared into obeying such a terrifying ogre, but never into loving such a monster. Sadly, that's the way some people have been taught to react to God. Their relationship with Him has been blighted by fear. A woman once told me that as a child she had a large picture of an eye in her bedroom. That was meant to remind her that God was always watching her. No sin would escape his beady eyes. He would see, condemn and punish her every fault. She was even told that if she were naughty, God wouldn't love her. Not surprisingly, this inspired a fear of God which scared her into obeying him. But we cannot love anyone who terrifies us. Sadly, this image of God distorted her whole relationship with God, even as an adult. And that runs completely against the teaching of the Gospel. It's downright heresy. This is borne out by the parable of the prodigal son, who is forgiven and welcomed home by his loving father. And that is the central message of today's Gospel, which tells us, "For God so loved the world that he gave his only Son, so that everyone who believes in him may not perish, but may have eternal life." Indeed, God did not send the Son into the world to condemn the world, but in order that the world might be saved through him. Love alone moved the Father to send his Son into the world, to live among us, to die for us, and to rise from the grave. He's done all this to save us from the power of sin and death. He's gone to such lengths so that we could share his life and happiness. The Son of God would not have endured the agony of the cross if he were only interested in condemning and punishing us. Quite simply, Jesus tells us that he hasn't come to condemn us, but to save us. So away with a watchful eye, seeking to catch us out, like a security camera used to trap shoplifters. Instead, let us think of God's watchful eye being like that of a loving mother. She delights in the sight of her child and watches it with love and care. She's anxious to ensure that her child comes to no harm. She's certainly not looking for reason to punish it. It would be a sign that she no longer loved her child if she ever ceased to show this interest in its well-being. That's why we should rejoice that God never ceases to watch over us with so much love and care. So how should we react to so much love? The simple answer is, with love. That love should lead us to want to do only what will please God and to avoid whatever will offend him. Our love for God and each other should inspire a harmony of wills. Our greatest fear is that we will offend someone dear to us, or worse still, destroy the love between us. It's in this context that Jesus here speaks of punishment. We know that we're utterly miserable if we behave so badly that we seriously damage or destroy a love that is important to us. We brought the pain of losing someone dear to us upon ourselves. We have only ourselves to blame if that's what we choose to do. That's what Jesus meant when he spoke of those who prefer the darkness of their evil deeds to walking in the light, the life of Christ. Hell consists in freely preferring a loveless life without God to being happy enjoying his infinite love. The decision is ours. God will not, cannot force us to love him. Do we prefer the light of life, of Christ, or the darkness of sin without him? to be with him or apart from him. God simply ratifies our decision. We can be certain that God's love for us is unshakable. It's our love for him that is fickle and unreliable. With his help, let us choose eternal happiness with the God of love, rather than everlasting misery without him. May our Lenten prayer, our lifelong prayer, echo the words of the psalmist. One thing I ask from the Lord, this only do I seek, that I may dwell in the house of the Lord all the days of my life, to gaze on the beauty of the Lord. That's Psalm 27, verse 4.